Hello, my name is Lynn Heron, and today I will be presenting on Tay Sachs disease. So Tay Sachs is an inherited disorder, meaning that it comes from a genetic mutation that is passed down from parents. And in order for it to be passed down and expressed, both parents must express that gene because it is autosomal recessive. So both parents have to be carrying the gene in order for it to be expressed in the child. Some background information is that Tay Sachs disease is most common in the Ashkenazi Jewish population, and this is due to the founder's effect. That means individuals within that community are more likely to have common ancestors from long ago, since the community has been around for so long. And that means that two people from that population are much more likely to be carrying that gene and much more likely to have a child with Tay Sachs. And so the lifespan of a child with Tay Sachs is about 4 years, and it progresses. It's a progressive disease that gets worse as the child ages. Tay Sachs is caused by a mutation on chromosome number 15, and this mutation leads to a low production or no production at all of a very important subunit to a primary enzyme within lysosomes called beta-hexosamine A. With this mutation, lysosomes are no longer able to break down a type of neural lipid waste that's produced called gangliosides. So these gangliosides not being broken down in these neural cells, they're being collected inside the lysosomes, and this causes progressive damage to neurons and eventually to the brain. And that's why it's categorized as a lysosome storage disorder, since it stores the gangliosides rather than break them down like it should. Here is a graphic showing that the mutation occurring on chromosome number 15, resulting in this messed up beta-hexosaminidase A. That's the full enzyme. And here are the gangliosides that would usually break down. They actually accumulate here within the lysosome, within this neuron. So you can actually stain and see it. This is a stain of some neural cells, some neurons. And what you're seeing here in this bright green is gangliosides. So they're staining for gangliosides within neurons. And in this control, you can see that there's no ganglioside buildup at all because it's broken down and sent off to the rest of the body to be used. And in Tay Sachs, you can see that it's accumulating within these neurons. And once the lysosome reaches a certain point and it has so many gangliosides in it, it'll actually burst, and those gangliosides can spread out into the neuron and poison it and damage it. So symptoms start occurring at the 6-month mark in an infant. And this is the point where they begin to lose abilities that they've gained. So they regress. And then the disease will continue to progress from here and get worse. So from 6 to 10 months, you will start to see a lack of attentiveness within the infant. They will have muscle weakness, and anything that they learned before, like standing up, sitting down, picking up objects, or pulling themselves up, they won't be able to do that anymore. They'll have issues with it, and as they reach the 10-month mark, they won't be able to do it at all. And something interesting is that there is a unique diagnosis method for infants who have not been diagnosed with Tay Sachs yet. You can actually see a cherry red spot in their eye when you dilate it and look into it with a light. So symptoms from 8 to 10 months will progress into loss of vision. The infant will begin to have seizures, and enlargement of their spleen and liver will cause them to start getting infections. And the 18-month point is considered to be the point of no return. These are when the symptoms will be the worst they can be, and it'll eventually lead to the child's death. So they'll have trouble swallowing as they lose control of the muscles within their esophagus, as that part of their brain becomes damaged. They'll become unresponsive and enter a vegetative state. And within this state, when they're on ventilators and they're on feeding tubes, you begin to get pneumonia. And even if they can cure it out of the child, it will come back again. And pneumonia is usually, recurring pneumonia is usually what ends up killing the child. So there's actually 3 types of Tay Sachs disease. The most common is infantile, and that's the one we've been talking about, where the lifespan is between 2 and 4 years of age with the progression of symptoms past 6 months. There is a more rare version called juvenile to intermediate Tay Sachs, and this is where it can onset around the age of 10, and they'll start to get worse past that point, and they're expected to live maybe 4 to 6 years past 10. And then the most rare kind is called late onset. It depends on when it onsets within your age, how bad the disease will be, because the lifespan can actually be normal if it onsets very late in life. And since the symptoms include dementia, muscle weakness, and inability to speak, a lot of the time it's actually accidentally misdiagnosed as Alzheimer's. So there is no treatment, there is no cure, but there is some forms of treatment. Tay Sachs is incurable, unfortunately, at the moment, but medication can be given to reduce the rate of seizures within the infant. This makes it easier on their body and less stressful for them and the parents. Feeding tubes can be installed to provide nutrition and hydration as the child loses muscle control. And care is focused around making the child as comfortable as possible, since there's nothing we can really do to stop it. There is prevention, however. Genetic counseling is highly recommended for members of the Ashkenazi Jewish population because of the founder's effect, and this will help prevent the prevalence of Tay Sachs, as if people know they are carrying this gene, maybe they won't pick a partner who is carrying that gene, or if they do, they choose to adopt rather than produce a child with Tay Sachs disease. So testing can also be done on pregnant women while the baby is in vitro. So while gestation is happening, you can test the child to see if it will be born with Tay Sachs. So there actually is some really interesting current research going on. There is a lab-made enzyme called hexo. And so this enzyme can degrade gangliosides actively. And so it is believed that this production of this enzyme, if we can figure out how to deliver it into the brain, could break down buildup of gangliosides and could actually continually be given to the child to make Tay Sachs not damage the child at all. So it'd be able to prevent all of the damage that's done. So it is the highest active enzyme, which means it's the most active. It's able to break down the most gangliosides and stay the longest. And it can also cross the blood-brain barrier, which is the problem with research into the enzymes to cure things like this. Because the blood-brain barrier is well protected, it's really hard to cross. And so hexo is special in that it can cross that blood-brain barrier very easy. But the problem we're having is the method of delivery, so the method in which it will be given to the child. And because of that, trials are not in session yet. So there is a version of Tay Sachs called Sandhoff's disease. And this is like an extreme version of Tay Sachs found within the general population rather than just within the Ashkenazi Jewish population. But it is also an inherited recessive disorder. So this would be Tay Sachs within the general population. And here are those references I used. Thank you very much.